Couple of ACC teams kicking it off in Atlanta last night. Clemson beating Georgia Tech 41-10. Scoreless in the first quarter. Tigers led 14-3 at the half. Kind of got snowballing there at the end.
Yep. The first half, low scoring. Clemson scored the last 27 points of the game, including a late touchdown that, was important because the total. Clemson was opened as an 18-point favorite. They were bet to 24. They won by 31 thanks to that late touchdown. So that mattered. It also mattered for the over-under because the over-under most of Monday ranged from 50.5 to 51.5. And folks, it lands on 51. It's a tough gig on these standalone games. They're going to get the number right more often than not. When I look at when I watch Clemson, their defensive front is as solid as ever. Quarterback and offensive line, not so much.
Yeah, their defense, they didn't look like they missed a step at all under Wes Goodwin, who was promoted from off-the-field analyst to defensive coordinator after Brent Venables went to Oklahoma. Word is that if he didn't get the defensive coordinator's job at Clemson, he was going to be the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Dabo wanted to keep continuity there. I think it's turned out to be so far looks like to be a very good hire. I thought Clemson's defense, again, very much elite. They were running around. Probably the best tackling bunch that I saw all weekend. They still made some mistakes, but they did fly to the football, which has been their trademark for a long, long time. The one thing I did notice about them, though, and maybe this is just, again, early season, but they didn't play as low as they usually do. And, of course, you always hear low man wins, which is true. But Clemson didn't play. They played standing up more. And, again, I think that may be going back to what we've alluded to earlier about camp and not going in pads and those type things, because you can get a little lazy going in shorts and shoulder pads. That's just common knowledge.
Yeah, the lack of contact is showing even with the elite teams. And, of course, Clemson has to be considered super elite. Everyone wrote them off because last year they went a woeful 10-3, right? And, they're just because they're not in the title game versus Alabama or LSU, their fans are impatient, as all fans are. But, hey, they won by 31, but it was a 14-10 game in the third quarter. So they didn't actually just wipe the floor with them. It wasn't a train wreck. And when you look at Georgia Tech, I don't know how they're going to win. They won under Paul Johnson, who was not a fan favorite of the boosters at Georgia Tech.
Right.
They got rid of him, and then you have all these different offenses. I believe, is Georgia Tech's academic standards really holding them back? And Jeff Collins has just a monumental challenge to get them even competitive.
Yeah, and of course, Jeff is a longtime friend of mine. I wish that he could be very successful at Georgia Tech. I know that he's a very good coach. They've won 9 games in 3 years under him. This is make or break for him at Georgia Tech. You look back over Paul Johnson's last 3 years, they won 21 games, played in a couple of bowl games. Again, Jeff has just got a very tough job ahead of him. When you look at their schedule, I think it's going to be, 3, maybe 4 wins is going to be the tops for them. He's probably going to be dismissed. I don't think patience is a virtue any longer in college football. But I'm not going to feel too sorry for him because he's going to walk away with millions of dollars in a buyout money, and then somebody's going to hire him to be a defensive coordinator or maybe even another head coaching gig because he's an outstanding coach. But, yeah, I'm Georgia Tech. I think they put a lot into this game. They played hard, but they just don't have the horses to play with teams like Clemson.
Yeah, and I think I see them being competitive if they go back to some type of military offense, the triple option. Mm-hmm. And, again, when you have – and even Notre Dame to this day, they're limited by academic standards.
Yes, they are. And you look at the option offense that Air Force runs, that Navy runs, that Army runs. It's based upon discipline, and a lot of that discipline rolls over from academics. And Tech is more aligned academically with the service academies than they are with their fellow ACC foes, except for maybe Duke.
Yeah, and then it's the same situation in the SEC with Vanderbilt. And those teams, there's no coincidence. I mean, there's no. You look at those teams; they're always at the bottom of the conference because they don't have. If they do get a four-star athlete or a five-star athlete, they're not going to get them in bunches because of that academic standard. And then, of course, you have the kids that do make it at these teams. Look at the Alabama running back. Alabama has, in fact, I believe they have a transfer from Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech starting this year.